Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and welcome back to 24 videos in 24 hours in light of the new terms of service change that is actually coming into fruition at midnight tonight. Yes, the terms of service change that if your channel's not commercially viable, well, they don't have an obligation to host anyone's video. They can just get rid of your channel, and I'm hoping that's not what's going to happen here. And I thought, hey, why not go out with a bang if we're going to have to go out to begin with? So I've had some great guests throughout the day. I got Derek Bros, Scott Ledger, Lee Stewart, John Fitch from Mixed Martial Mindset, Christy Dopp, Steve from Slow News Day, Andrew from Action for Assange, and Titus Frost coming up. I may have Graham Elwood at 7 p.m. That's not confirmed yet. I'm doing my best to work on that. But I thought since a lot of you out there and people that I knew personally sent me this article as soon as it came out. I worked for Alex Jones, and I regret it. I believe it's by a former employee known as Josh Owens. And I will admit, I read the entire thing. So now you're going to get my take, and probably a take that you're not going to get anywhere else on working for InfoWars. For those that don't know, I worked with Alex Jones prior to working for InfoWars through Loose Change Final Cut. He produced that film, and it was in that time period that I started to make acquaintance with him. Now, after that film came out, we'd built a rapport, and he liked what I did, so he volunteered to produce my next film, Fabled Enemies. And while he produced Fabled Enemies, I moved out to Texas for the very first time in 2008, just for 3 months. This was before he had the studios as you see them today. It was a much smaller studio, and I produced that film. Now, well, he produced it. I wrote and directed it. Now, I knew what I was getting into. I knew the bravado of Alex Jones, and quite frankly, at the time, we were working towards similar goals. We were working towards exposing the truth, especially about 9/11, and exposing the false left-right paradigm. And there were many things that I had seen from Alex Jones prior to working with him where I said, I'm going to prove this guy wrong. And for the vast majority of it, I really couldn't. Okay, and again, this is way back in the day. Even if there was something that was a little off, there was always a ring of truth to it. And overall, I thought the guy did tremendous work. Now, he also gave me my opportunity to do what I'm doing right now with you. What do I mean? Well, I had a small internet radio show, Louder Than Words Radio, with Dylan prior to that. But actually, Alex called into that show a couple times, and when I went out there, I became his regular stand-in host. And actually, I ended up being, when I not permanently, but moved out there for more than a year to do Invisible Empire on the Follow This, the first person he ever gave a show to. In the new offices, it was called the Info Warrior, and I can't say anything but thank you for that. Thank you for those opportunities. Thank you for producing my next film, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined. Okay, now I'm not going to lie to you. There are certain things in this article that absolutely ring true, but why did this person work here for 4 years without leaving? Now, he has the right to say or write whatever he wants, and I'm going to say this again. I was not there while these things happened. I knew when to get out of situations. In other words, there's a story in there that they were on a gun range or somewhere blowing off steam, and Alex apparently shot a gun about 10 feet away from the bullet landed. I never put myself in a position where I was firing guns with Alex Jones. Okay? It was enough for me that there was a 6-shooter, a revolver under the desk while I was live, and if an intruder ever came in, I was instructed to take it and shoot at them. That was enough. And I'm not dissing the Second Amendment or people that like to shoot for sport or hunters or anything like that. But to be with Jones on a gun range is something that I was not going to put myself in that position. It wasn't like you didn't know who you were dealing with. Now, remember, I was also there prior to his divorce. And in my eyes, prior to him really having the alcohol problem he's talked about today, Sailor Jerry and that stuff was around. And don't get me wrong, the guy liked to have a drink. But in this story, He talks about vodka being in the middle console as they were driving and creating content and live streaming. That never happened to me. There was never an instance where I was driving with Alex Jones and there was liquor in the car that he was drinking. I want to make that 100% clear. And although Jones has kind of gone by the wayside on the false left-right paradigm, he's gone pretty right-wing. He's called the Democratic Party the party of Satan. He's accused the left of all being child molesters. He said that God told him to destroy Joe Rogan. The list goes on. He's talked about regime change in Venezuela, cutting off that. All things I completely disagree with. All things I think are kind of deplorable and dishonest. But I still think he should have the right to say them. I don't think he should have ever been deplatformed. In fact, I was one of the first to come out and say, this is a bad idea, getting rid of Jones, no matter what you believe about Sandy Hook, on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook, because if they can get rid of Jones, they can get rid of just about anybody. And the other aspect of this was selling products, right? They really wanted to let it be known that Jones, sold his iodine products and some of his health products out there deceptively, while fear-mongering to people that the Fukushima blast and the radiation would come over and they needed this iodine to protect themselves. Again, I wasn't there behind the scenes. I don't know that. But it wouldn't surprise me if Jones was furious when he sent a crew out there and they weren't getting Geiger counter readings. That wouldn't surprise me at all. The difference would be that when I was at InfoWars, we were not selling supplements, right? The vast majority of the things that were sold were DVDs, things I believed in, films like my own, films like America, Freedom to Fascism by Aaron Russo. I was never even there when he was selling other people's supplements. Don't get me wrong. There were, I would say sponsors for like the Berkey water filter, and there were those Patriot Pack MREs and things for preppers and that nature. But I never thought that that was unacceptable. I never thought that that was over the top. I never thought that in any way interfered with any of my belief systems. And I wanted to get the truth out. I was also working for a person at the time that was putting out all this media for free and encouraging people to make copies of our work and share them with others. And I still hold that belief. So, when I read this thing, I just thought I was going to be fair. Do I believe everything Alex Jones says? No. Did I believe everything Alex Jones says? No. You don't go into a place of business worshiping someone, creating a demigod, creating a situation where you've set yourself up for failure. Everybody is a human being. Everybody makes mistakes. And I got to tell you guys, some of my best friends, I've been around for too long. We end up hating each other's guts, right? I know that you've had that experience. You just spend too much time around someone, whether it's a family member, whether it's a coworker, whether it's a friend, and sometimes things, get out of control. Now, does that mean I'm giving Jones a pass on everything? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If you don't know by now that Alex Jones will change his stance if he thinks it will get him some kind of power, whether that be monetary power or political power, well, you're not paying attention. You're not watching. If you think that he doesn't know what he's doing in most cases, I think you're being rather naive. The guy is a very, very smart individual. Now, with that being said, do I think he's a little bit paranoid? Do I think that he buys into some of his own paranoia? Absolutely. But the biggest part about Jones is he will almost never admit that he's wrong. And when he gives an apology, it's not only half-hearted, but it's backhanded, and he tries to spin it into another situation. I've always said, look, if I get something wrong, I'm going to talk to you about it. I'm going to tell you about it. For instance, today when I was doing the interview with Richie Allen, and I noticed that Tiffany Fitzhenry's channel, all of her videos seem to be gone. I tried to get Tiffany on. Unfortunately, she won't be able to join me for another 2 or 3 weeks, but she let me know that it was not YouTube taking down her channel or her videos, and I want to correct that. I think that's the right thing to do. I know I'm not going to be perfect. I know I'm going to make mistakes. And at the same time, we all make our own bed. The opportunities that were allotted to me because of InfoWars, were plentiful. And what I did with those opportunities is my own. Sometimes, I took advantage of them and they led to very, very good things. Other times, they led me down the wrong path and maybe not in a place of productivity. But overall, guys, without that experience, would I be here today? Would I be producing 24 videos in 24 hours to try to raise awareness about the fact that YouTube, just gets to decide now who gets a channel and who doesn't? It's no longer an open platform as of midnight tonight. So, undoubtedly 100%, I want to thank Alex Jones for giving me that opportunity. But I will not be beholden to somebody and their ideal set if I disagree with it, no matter what their prominence is, no matter how they're looked at, no matter what people may think of me for speaking out against somebody like that. So you guys can go check out the article. I'm sure a lot of you already have. I just want to let you know, I worked for Alex Jones and I don't regret a second of it. Not a second of it. We all make mistakes. We all do bad things. Everything isn't perfect and hunky-dory all the time. You got to kind of do your own thing in some of these respects, guys. So here we are, 24 videos in 24 hours. We've done over 800 videos on this channel. 750 plus of those since June when we started to go full time. So we normally do 3 to 7. Make sure to thumbs this up, sub, and share. Join the Burmist Brigade. We're trying to get to 40,000. You can watch all my documentary films for free, 3 of which are produced by Alex Jones. Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, and Shade the Motion Picture right here in the documentaries playlist section. And if you do want to financially support me, this is how you do it. I've got a GoFundMe. If you like independent media, if you like a viewpoint that isn't about partisan politics, conservatives, liberals, and the false paradigms that engulf us every day through the distractionary military-industrial complex media, maybe you want to give me a sub. Maybe you want to support me financially. Maybe you want to share my work. Guys, I'm going to be back at the top of the hour with Derek Bros to go over some new Epstein revelations and what you might want to be weary of that's starting to come out there. We got Lee Stewart of Press for Truth. We got Mixed Martial Mindset coming up at 6 p.m. and so much more. We're doing it at the top of the hour every hour. 24 videos in 24 hours. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you on the flip side.